Hello everyone, I'm Christopher, and this is my son, Simrajit and Sujata. Together, we will bring this presentation to you. Let's begin with a story of a little girl named Mariam. Mariam was born in a big family in Mali, which is a poor country in the west of Africa. She lived in Gao, where there was no public school. Her family couldn't afford the cost of private school. In Mali, people suffer from widespread poverty, food insecurity, and instability from conflict, and these have led to alarming numbers of childhood malnutrition. Mariam had always worked to provide her family, but when she got pregnant at age 13, she began to work harder for her family, including her child. By the time she turned 30, Mariam had not made any accomplishments or contributions that could have made her life meaningful. Which begs the question, how could this have been prevented? Mariam's fate could have been avoided if the biggest issues from the least developed countries were resolved. These include poor health, food scarcity, and the lack of employment. The solution to the problem is education, because education can empower people to make changes in the world they live in. But here's the real problem. There's not enough education in third world countries, such as some countries in Africa. Getting an education in a developing country is not as simple as it seems, for there are factors that are holding people back from learning. They do not have enough accessible schools and mentors, and some have to risk their lives just to go to school. Our solution to the problem is to develop an online application that anyone can use for free, wherever they are. People can get an education in the safety of their own homes. Our solution has plenty of perks, such as a fast connection, cheap and accessible to people around the world, and more effective than conventional education. Besides, reusable materials can be used to create laptops, which can then be used for learning. However, we also acknowledge weaknesses to our solution. These include the requirement of electricity and the lack of internet and Wi-Fi. This is directly linked to the lack of technology in developing countries. We are targeting people who have yet to learn the main languages such as English, French, and Spanish, so they can understand our services easier. Once that is accomplished, we can expand as much languages as we can, so we can teach them lessons in their own language. The structure comes in the form of our own platform. To build it, we must understand how the forum works, and the same applies to the videos in the wiki, and how we can handle online chatting, calling, and video chat for the sake of teaching. Our materials come in the form of various school subjects, such as math and language. Yet we should focus on humanities just as much as science, because the problems in the undeveloped countries come from a lack of human rights, low technology, and insufficient science expertise. Who will work for our app, you wonder? That's a good question. We will recruit people such as, but not limited to, volunteer teachers, mentors, instructors, and last but not least, nutrition and mental health experts. For the technical stuff, We will create a web application based on JavaScript, but for the database it is better to create an SQL database because organization and access to database contents is easier than having a NoSQL database. We can create iOS and Android applications for providing more convenient services, but at the beginning, these are not a priority. The priority at the beginning is to focus on the applications on the PC, the Mac, and even the Linux. We will go through various phases. Phase 1 is providing the platform. Phase 2 is sharing and creating basic materials such as math, languages, and basic science. Phase 3 is having people join, such as teachers, instructors, and applicants, and Phase 4 is developing materials and services for our app. Our first goal is to create a web application and run it after 3 months. The second goal is to have at least 1,000 users daily and 5 online teachers after running. On Phase 3 and 4 and onwards, the amount of users and teachers exponentially increase. The challenges we face are advertisements that pop up everywhere across the internet, and government censorship that aims to keep their civilians under their control. Once we overcome these challenges, then education will be free all across the world, as intended.